folks, I'm Lucy with Ballyhoo Creations, and this is the second video in the Beginner Machine Embroidery series. In this video I'm going to talk about hooping. Learning how to properly hoop your project is one of the most important skills in machine embroidery, and it requires some practice. Different fabrics and projects can take advantage of different hooping techniques. And in this video I'll show you how to hoop the traditional way and the floating method, and I'll show you some mistakes to avoid when you're hooping. Your embroidery machine will come with at least one hoop and maybe several. These hoops are specific to your machine brand or maybe even the machine itself, so you can't easily mix and match. But you can buy extra hoops. Just make sure they're compatible with your brand and model of embroidery machine, because the machine actually reads the hoop to know its size, so machine compatibility matters. If you plan to stitch the same types of projects over and over, it might help to have multiple hoops in the same sizes that you use the most. That way you can stitch in one hoop while you hoop the next project. Many people wonder if you can use bigger hoops than the ones your machine came with, and most of the time the answer is no. Your machine's embroidery arm is what determines how far the hoop can move back and forth. That's what dictates how big of a design that machine can stitch. If you put a bigger hoop on there, it's just wasted space because the machine can't get to those areas. There is an exception to this. It's called a repositional hoop, but that gets more complicated and requires extra software, so I don't want to get into that for this beginner series. I just wanted you to know that if you buy a 4x4 embroidery machine with the 4x4 hoop, you can't just buy a bigger hoop and magically stitch 6x10 designs. It doesn't work that way because the arm of that machine can only move 4 inches in either direction. You can also buy hoops that are magnetic or metal frames to fit some machines like the multi-needles, but those require a bit more skill. So let's stick with the hoops that came with your machine for this beginner series. It will keep things simple as you're learning, and there's already enough confusing information out there for you to absorb and make sense of. Beginner's mind is a place of anxiety, so relax, take this slowly, learn to walk before you run. The hoops that come with your machine all have a way to loosen and tighten the hoop. Some have a thumb screw like this, some have an actual screw that you need a screwdriver to loosen and tighten, and some have a latch system, which is a nice thing to have. Hoops come in different sizes depending on what your machine can use. It's important to know the actual measurements of the hoop is not the same as the embroidery field or the area your machine can actually stitch in. This measures 5 1/4 inches, but it's really a 4x4 hoop. So don't measure the hoop with a tape measure and assume any design smaller than that will fit. That's not how it works. Your machine manual will tell you the maximum embroidery field it can handle, and then each hoop has a size written on it somewhere to show you what size hoop this is. This is a 100 by 100 millimeter, which is about 4 inches by 4 inches. So if your hoop has markings, make sure that you line those up so the hoop fits together perfectly. If your hoop doesn't have those markings, then you may have a reversible hoop that it doesn't matter which direction the inner hoop goes in the outer hoop. Your hoop also has markings to show the center points. They're in here, here's two here, here's one at the top. We'll talk about that when we get to positioning in a different video. Most design digitizers size for the most common hoop sizes shown here. These are sizes made popular by Brother and Baby Lock, and then Viking and Pfaff have similar hoop sizes. But brands like Singer or Janome or Benina, they have different sizes, and that's important to know. For example, the Singer 6x10 hoop is actually smaller than the Viking 6x10 hoop, which is still smaller than the Brother 6x10. This is because hoops are actually measured in millimeters and then converted and rounded up to inches. People with Singer 6x10 machines are aware of this issue because they probably purchased a 6x10 design only to find that they had to shrink it because it wouldn't fit in their hoop. Here's a tip. Write down your hoop sizes in inches and millimeters and keep it by your computer or wherever you shop for embroidery designs. That way you'll have easy access to know what design sizes will fit in your hoop, what you can and can't stitch. So let's get to hooping. Always lay the outer hoop on the bottom, lay it flat on the table, don't have other stuff in the way, move all the junk out of the way, and then lay your stabilizer and then your fabric over the top. Now take your inner hoop and make sure that the arrow's going to line up. Place it on top and use your fingers to feel where that outer hoop is around these layers. This is tricky, but line it up at least in one corner and then push straight down So the inner hoop on top is enclosed by the outer hoop on the bottom. It just popped in there. If it won't fit, loosen the hoop with the screw and try it once again. Once you get the inner hoop popped into the outer hoop, your fabric and stabilizer is trapped all the way around. Now push that inner hoop down some more so the stabilizer is just a little bit below and sunk down, so that on the bottom we should have a little tiny ridge. And that way when we put it on our machine, it's going to float freely around on the bed of the machine and not get caught anywhere. When you put this on your machine, you should be able to see the inner sides of your hoop, and the stabilizer will be touching the bed of your machine at the bottom. If your fabric is at the top, like this one that I've done wrong, then the machine will keep pushing the fabric and you're bound to have problems. This is actually hooped upside down at the top of the hoop when it should be at the bottom. So make sure your fabric is touching the bed of the machine at the bottom of the hoop, not riding on the top of it, but down on the bottom. You want your fabric to be taut, but not tight. For those who tell you to get it drum tight, please don't listen to that. Those people have never played a drum. You will never get your fabric drum tight in an embroidery hoop, not like a real drum. You just want it tight enough so that if you thump on it, it doesn't come out. And this is just right. Another way to check the tightness is to lay it down flat on the table and run 2 fingers over it like a tiny snowplow. You don't want any big mountains or valleys. A little bit is fine, but you don't want a whole bunch of fabric. This one, on the other hand, that's not tight at all. You also don't want to start pulling around the sides of your fabric to get it all straight and tight in there, because what that does, I'll show you with this stretchy fabric, when you start pulling on a side, even if your fabric is not stretchy, you will distort the grain of the fabric and your design won't stitch properly. So you want to get it hooped right the first time as closely as possible without pulling, without trying to... You can tighten the screw a few turns, but don't tighten it too much. You just want to make sure that it's not going to pop out while you're stitching. It's hard to get this right the first few times, so do it over and over until it goes smoothly for you. Practice makes perfect, and hooping is a skill that takes some practice. For a smaller hoop like this 4x4, your fabric should be snug in there and not slip, but in larger hoops like this with long straight sides, the fabric is probably going to slip. So it's the nature of the beast. Some people use something tacky or sticky to keep the fabric stuck to the inside of the hoop. You can search for machine embroidery shelf liner or machine embroidery collar to see popular methods for that. But I like to do something simpler. I just take T-pins or any pin with a big head, and I pin it on the outside. So right there, here's the outer hoop, here's the inner hoop, and I'm going to get right there on the edge, and that pin will actually keep the fabric from slipping through the hoop. And you can do this, it just depends on how long your hoop is, maybe every few inches or whatever works for you. Again, on a small hoop this is probably not necessary, but on a larger hoop you're going to need something to secure the fabric in the sides, because these straight sides like this just don't have enough tension to keep that fabric in there, even no matter how tight you get this screw. The second way of hooping is called floating or hoopless embroidery, but don't let that confuse you. You still need to use your hoop. But in this method, we only hoop the stabilizer, and then the fabric or the project floats on top of that stabilizer. And there are several ways you can keep the stabilizer and fabric attached to each other. I'll show you. I'm going to hoop a piece of stabilizer pretty tightly in this hoop, and then my fabric will go on top. What's to keep the fabric from moving around? Nothing. We got to fix that. For some projects with light stitching like applique or in the hoop projects, you can get away with usually just free floating the fabric on top and not attaching the fabric to the stabilizer. But if you're going to be stitching anything dense with lots of stitches, you need to stick that fabric to the stabilizer somehow so that it won't shift while you're stitching on it. There are many ways people keep the fabric attached to the stabilizer. Some people like sticky stabilizer that gets hooped. You use something like a sharp pen and you just score the paper backing on that and then peel it away, and it's sticky under there. So when you put your fabric on, it stays stuck. Won't come off. There's a fusible stabilizer that works in a similar way. Another way of doing this is to hoop regular stabilizer and then use something to stick the fabric onto there. Some people like a spray adhesive that you spray onto the stabilizer and then you stick the fabric to that. I'm not a fan of the sprays myself. I do like a glue stick from time to time, just a plain old cheap glue stick or an Elmer's glue stick. You just put it on your stabilizer, and then once you put your fabric on there and give it a couple of minutes to dry, that glue stick will not gum up your needle or cause any problems, but this fabric will stay stuck, and this is good for a light to medium stitching. But if you have something really dense, glue stick's probably not going to hold it for you. Glue stick is actually my favorite because it's cheap, it works, and it's sold everywhere. Be careful with tapes or adhesives. If they make the needle sticky, it can ruin your project. A sticky, gooey needle doesn't embroider very well. You can clean the needle with alcohol, but it's better to not get it sticky in the first place. Some people will use pins to attach the fabric to the stabilizer, but I'm not a fan of pins inside of the hoop because they can snag or break a needle. Another popular method of floating is to do a basting stitch around the edge of the hoop that sticks the fabric to the stabilizer. Some machines have a basting stitch built in for the different sized hoops, or you can find free files online that will give you that line of stitching around the edge. And then you stitch your design inside that box and remove those loose basting threads when you're done. You may be wondering, when do you do traditional hooping and when do you do floating? Does it matter? Some people float everything they do. It's just how they machine embroider. Some people do the traditional hooping on pretty much everything unless they absolutely can't. So part of it is personal preference. Some fabrics like a terry cloth towel might be too heavy to actually get in the hoop. Other things like velvet, when you take out of the hoop, you'll actually see what are called hoop marks or hoop burn. You can see how this fabric has been hooped, and on fabrics like a velvet, you can't really get rid of that. So those are a good candidate for a floating method, whether it's a towel or a velvet, some kind of fur that's hard to hoop. Hard to hoop items are a good thing to float. Also, some designs are very heavy and dense and the fabric shifts around too much, so floating might not be good. The traditional hooping method would be a better way to go, so that the fabric and the stabilizer are all trapped in that hoop together and won't shift around. The basic thing that we're trying to do here with hooping is keep the fabric in one place so that it doesn't shift as we're stitching, because if that fabric moves, then your stitches won't line up. Positioning a design in the hoop so it stitches in the proper place on your fabric or garment is a bit more tricky, so I'm going to save that for another video in this beginner series. For now, with a bit of practice, you'll be able to get your fabric and stabilizer into your hoop so you can start stitching some designs on your practice fabric. And that's coming up in the next video called Your First Stitch Out. See you soon.